There we go.
Cool.
I always iron before I go on. I have to iron it or get it all right. So I'm getting him ready. It's weird.
Why is that weird? That's not weird.
No, maybe it's not weird. No, maybe it's not. Maybe that's what everybody does. Maybe I think it's different. But I suppose every performer gets themselves ready in a way. But for me, it's like I get him ready for showtime.
Shall I tell you a bit about your show tonight that I enjoyed the most?
Yeah, go on.
For a start, I thought that situation with the cat.
Yeah.
You know, after that, just immediately after that, there was that bit when you were sort of like cross. I don't know. It just everything went up another level.
Was that when I brought him out? Liam, as they call him. Do you want me to start it out?
Yeah.
You know, he starts things out for me. Because what generally happens, I always see it. I can't help it. But I see someone. I think all comics do this. You know, you can have a whole room absolutely, you know, guffawing, paralytic with, you know, whatever, doubled over with laughter. But you'll always spot that one face just at you. So what I've done is I've introduced him because he can go out and sort it out for me. But it stays in my world, so then I go to him that there's one there that I don't think likes me. And he's like, where is it? Where is she? Where is he? I'll sort it for you. So I send him, and it's just kind of the weird thing where I suppose I want everyone to be enjoying themselves, but as you say this evening when I said to her, and then she said that she's from a place called Wallop, which is hilarious. Have that. Wallop, and she was going on about the Vicar. You know, well, the Vicar gave me the tickets. I'm from Wallop, and my cat got shot in the eye. You know, and you're going, well, you know, and of course I went back and said she's more surreal than us. You know, it's like, where is this going? So, yeah, and it did, because there is that thing inside me where I'll lead the audience where I want to take them, but there's also that thing where, equally, you know, I'm not one to want to upset anybody either. You know, there is that side of me. Even though I'm not worried about splitting a room. I don't care about people not laughing at me, as long as the light is right and the sound is right. So it's on my side. Then thereafter, what happens is my fault. You know, my being. But when something like that happens, I actually don't want to, you know, upset anyone. And she goes, you know, her cat gets shot in the eye, and I'm thinking, oh God, you know, and I say something to make light of it, and of course everyone goes, oh yeah. God, and you're going, oh yeah, but it's a pet, and oh, I don't know you, and you don't know me, but equally I don't want to, you know, it's cheap and easy, and I'll only do cheap and obvious because I'm going to subvert it at some point, you know. So you know, if you've seen, you know, if I do the cheap gag, there's always going to be payoff, maybe 15, 20 minutes, or even at the end later where you go, and it might be subtle, but you know, someone getting a cat shot in the eye. Oops.
It was interesting though, wasn't it? Because I found it interesting because you're really naked on stage.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And.
But surrounded by a character at the same time, it's weird.
Yeah, but you're still naked.
Oh no! You completely, yeah, honest. Yeah. I don't think people realise how candid it is actually.
Yeah, I felt it was very candid, and so you're kind of plundering your depths of creativity, which are very personal. Mercilessly, you plunder them mercilessly, but you're very, very gentle with other people's feelings.
Oh yeah, I never really thought about that. I think.
Interesting.
I think, you know, I'm not someone who, you know, I don't, for whatever reason, I don't even know why, I kind of destroyed myself. I think I've moved out your shot there.
Thank you.
I don't know why, and I think as you get older, you realise that, you know, it isn't just Father Christmas that's a lie, you know, that there is no, you know, Snow White, and what I mean by that is that you start to realise that the realisms of stuff that you thought were cliches as a child growing up, that are actually real, and then you get to a point when then you go, I've established in my head that is real. It isn't a cliche, and I'm not the only one who's alone with that. And then you think, God, is that it then? Is that it? The only thing that else can be is the fact that I could be, if you like, financially ridiculously wealthy, that I could then go to places that I could never dream of, maybe with travel. But you could do that without money. So, well, maybe not anymore in this day and age, but So it becomes a claustrophobic place for me, and I think the way to deal with that is to go out and explore that. And I think some people get it and laugh at it because they go, well, I recognise that myself. And I think other people just maybe blanket themselves so much off from it that they go, I don't want to know about that. I want to know what you've got. I've got the same stuff in the same drawer. Not having to go to Michael McIntyre, but they want that. They want to go, oh yeah, I do that as well. They don't really, I go. Have you ever noticed? But in a more, as you say, naked, to the point way. And then there's things where, when I'm going off, like tonight, for example, when I was on my knees, I was actually physically on my knees, as you know, and I said to the audience, I'm on my knees now, and the point I'm saying there, that's the bare bones of a performer. You want to be loved, and for me, it was my own twisted events of, even though it was great fun, and I loved the audience, and, and I'm sure there were people that didn't like, but, as a whole, it was good fun, and they came in and let me spin these plates. But there was that moment of taking the ridiculous of being on your knees and going, what more do you want from me? That's how sad I am that I want your love. It's this interesting thing as a performer that you want to be loved by people you don't even know. And it took me a while to realise that. That was one of the big things of my realisations of my depressions, when I realised that actually the people that loved you, you thought you were letting down because you didn't have people you didn't know knowing who you were, and you suddenly went, oh God, this is not working out, is it? I'm not famous, and that's what they all thought I would be, when really you're going, what? It's that funny moment of that realisation of just one day literally waking up. I mean, obviously I didn't do that, but it was like I woke up and went, hold on a second, what's going on? What are you doing? Wind it in, man. Get over yourself. And that's the loveliest point, I think. And a lot of comics, when you speak to new comedians, they fish for advice and all that, and you say, you just got to keep getting up and doing it and what have you. But I think the biggest advice I'd give anyone now is, I've asked myself a question here, is get over yourself from the very beginning. Just get over yourself. Don't worry about people say, comic get so paranoid about what's written on Twitter about you. Oh, I know, I'd never Google my name. Man, get over yourself. If someone doesn't like you, they don't like you. It's funny, especially if they don't know you. It's even funnier. It's hilarious.
Talk about that thing about getting over yourself, because what you were saying about cliches, which I agree about, because a cliche has an inherent wisdom, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you say get over yourself, you're not just saying get over yourself, are you? You're saying the wisdom that comes with it.
Yeah, maybe it's a point where you can only do that when you're this old. I'm not an old man, but I'm not a young man, and I think I see what you're saying. Yeah. You have to come to realise that. It's like being a child, isn't it? You tell a child to do something, it won't do it. Like, I say to my son, I say, look, you will like this because I know what you like, and they go, no, I don't want it. And eventually you'll get a mouthful of that food in his mouth, and all of a sudden it's all gone. But that's what we do. We don't want to be told. We need to find out for ourselves. Otherwise, you're not going to realise. So, it's cliche on cliche on cliche, and that becomes a cliche. But there is a lot of truth in exactly that. They're there for a reason. They're cliches for a reason. That's why they're there, because you actually do go that man and woman nonsense hack-eyed idea of. The difference between men and women is, but you get to a point and go, actually, do you know what? There is something in all that, and there's no, as much as you think that you can't reason with it. And the thing, I'll tell you what it is for me. When people get upset, right, I don't think I'm better or worse than anybody, right? I don't really care. I just go by my own business, right? And I don't mean to offend. I just go, this is funny, right?
I don't think you're at all offensive.
No, but some people will say, well, I thought that was a bit. But sometimes my mind goes, don't forget what you were talking about. You're going to forget. And I'm going, no, don't make it. Oh, you've done it to me. Yeah. Boom.
Right, I thought your thing as well at the end about the microphone and the shape of the girl. Well, very funny.
Oh, yeah, but that was for me. It's just for me. It's just the idiocy of going, look, it looks like a woman, and then I go, he says cock, so I turn it into a cock and go, right, is that we're on page, what are we on? What was I saying there? I was going to hit a point for myself there. That was interesting. About cliches and the thing is, and realising of being an age and men and women, and it doesn't matter.
You'll probably remember.
Yeah, I'll be driving and I'm going, oh, that was it, where's Rose? Damn it. But as far as comedy, it's just that maybe that's where I was going. I don't know, but it's comedy at the end. It's just comedy. I nearly said it at the end of the day, though. But it's just comedy. I don't. I go home and I get on with my life and go through this world of my own, and sometimes I debate it with myself what it's about, but I keep away from it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. It's like, people say, if it's something is offensive, and that's what I'm saying, I don't think I'm better or worse than anybody, but, the way I see it is that this is really blunt, really blunt, but, we are, as a race of people, a germ, living on something that we don't even understand. And we spend a lot of time trying to work out what we are and why we're here and what it's all about and how far the nearest planet is to us. And I just suddenly go, and then we cage ourselves in money, and you haven't got that much money, and you go in, mate, we're just this rat little germ running around. Why are you all panicking about? What do you? So what if your car's better or worse? Or everything is irrelevant, and to be completely, But most people want to fucking screw shit and eat, and get on. That's pretty much all that you really do need, and that comes maybe with age. We were talking about age, weren't we? And I think that's when you suddenly go, what is this whole nonsense that everybody's after you? They're going to get you. If you don't pay that, they'll get you. It's like, well, just take everything. Take the lot, man. Have all that I have. It's yours, man. I'll build it back up again. I'm not really bothered. And as I say, here we go, the philosophy. We're all losing time. That's another realisation of being an older man. You suddenly go, it's just time that's going. That's what I can't get back. Money will come and go, but I can't get the time back. That's what's ticking. So that what I'm saying, well, I'm laying these out so you see where as a comic, where I go, where I want to be funny. 1 minute I'm saying that Scousers sound like turkeys, which is just good fun. It's just it's just funny, right? It's just silly. But then I'll weave off the whole thing about buying 5 old 10p's for £1, and then realising that the weight of the coins. When does the weight of the coin in its value of its metal become worth more than the coin? So then we go down these tangents and saying I was given a £10 change from a waiter, and there were 3 of us, but you can't split that, can you, between 3 because that's 33.3 recurring, and getting into these kind of quandaries of stuff, which. The reason I bring those about is because I want to see what I can pick open from an audience and make them go, what? Or go, where's this going? Where's this going? But the other thing, of course, I'm not right either. I'm only going with my brain. There's someone mathematically out there will go, well, actually, we'll understand of infinity plus 1 and all these kind of things. And, I don't know about economics. I say money doesn't exist. It's just a belief of money and all these things. But I don't know that I'm right because I'm not intelligent enough to know the rights and wrongs. So then I will say, of course, I'm intelligent enough to know that I'm not intelligent enough to be as intelligent as I would like to be. So I'm caught up in my own. So then I just lay it out there and see where it goes, and that's what's funny.
But I kind of got the impression that you're pretty good friends with yourself.
I am now, yeah. But I think before I wasn't, because I think the me that was upset wasn't the me. The real me was annoyed with this so-called me that was upset. Just moping around, and before I'd had all this TV and stuff, and then it was kind of it had gone, and and I was in danger of becoming bitter and annoyed and twisted and dark and upset about really something, like I said, doesn't really matter. Suddenly that was a moment I woke up and went, what are you doing? What are you after? Exactly what are you after? I think if I was honest artistically, I have a lot, it's really nice, I have a lot of peer respect, so in my eyes I've cracked it already, in that world. But, yeah, I would like to play to bigger numbers, because I play the percentage, so the fact is, I will take more of a dangerous route if there was 1,000 people, because if 30% are laughing, that's 300, okay? And if there are 60 people in a room and 30% are laughing, it's eggy. So the bigger the numbers, the more fun I will have and the more looser I become. It's quite strange, isn't it? You think actually with a lesser number you'd be more relaxed, but with a bigger number, I can hide more within the bigger number.
Definitely, because...
And you perform. I'm a performer.
A bigger number comes from a wider geographic region anyway, doesn't it? So they're less restricted culturally.
Very true.
So it's quite...
Yeah, very true.
relevant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you've opened up something completely there.
It's a good example.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also is a good example because I tour the world, and everyone is very much the same, but they're on different like rhythms, It's like a Canadian rhythm is very different to a New Zealand rhythm. It's a different thing. So it's different rhythms that you have to fit into these rhythms of their being and their life. You can't find them, you can't see them from the face value. They're very much the same as anyone else, but there's these kind of rhythms that they built in their cultures and societies that are the same across one country, but then again you get into the regions and then they're slightly different. So in America you'll have a kind of New Yorker, which is different to someone from maybe Florida or in Texas, but there's still a similar rhythm between the American thing, and with Brits there's still that, it doesn't matter if they're from Manchester or London, there's still that eccentricity of a Brit. So there's all these little, and that's kind of where I've gone with comedy, whereas before I would write jokes, and I think most comics would write gags, whereas now I sort of studied the science of it all. I kind of thought, how could I make saying badger for 20 minutes be funny? And it's the same trick as telling a joke. Because if you learn a keyboard or piano, you learn notes on a piano, once you've learnt it, that's all it really is. It's then what you do with it. And it's the same with comedy. It's exactly the same. The rules are three. There's timing is time. It's the same when someone sings a ballad and then they sing the last note. It's exactly the same. It's identical timing to dropping a gag. Music, comedy, it's just the same thing. It's the same moment, and there it is. That's comedy for you. There's the timing right there. So that's timing, right? And when you realise that you've got that, then you say, right, so how do I keep saying badger and badger and badger and badger over again? Then it's a kind of how you will then put the timing into the way that you say badger, or the way that you would elongate a word, or the way you'd stab at the word badger, or the voice that you'd use, but you'd still be in the timing of comedy. So that's kind of what I look at it now. And then, so rather than going, here's a joke, but I still like telling silly gags, I still like being funny, as well as crazy.
Terry, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good place to start.
Thanks. Bless you, Dom.
Okay,
Thank you very much indeed.